we're dedicating the Poverty Point World Heritage Site, the designation that was announced in June, and we unveil the plaque today. Now Poverty Point joins 1,000 other places on the planet as a World Heritage Site. This was the cradle of Louisiana civilization. The first Louisianians, they didn't call themselves that at the time, inhabited Poverty Point for decades and really even centuries. And it's a magnificent, well-preserved site that's now on the world stage.
We are standing here on top of Mound A at Poverty Point World Heritage Site. And here at Poverty Point, we have a wide variety of mounds that represent different types and different cultural uses for mounds here, such as Mound A, which has an odd shape with a part platform, part ridge that almost gives the appearance of a bird in flight. That's why we describe this as the bird mound. We also have at Poverty Point ridges. We have flat top mounds that might have been used for ceremonial purposes or for important people to live on top of. We know that was commonly used. We also have round top mounds. We have no burials here at Poverty Point that we know of, but we know later Native American cultures did use mounds for burial purposes, such as another one of our sites, Marksville State Historic Site. Labor. Lots and lots of labor was used in building these mounds. Here at Poverty Point, we have 50 million somewhat cubic yards of dirt that was brought in, scraped from the surface. Keep in mind, these are people without any metal tools. They're using stone tools. They're cutting down the trees with stone tools. They're digging up the dirt. They do have basket technology, so they're loading the dirt into baskets, and they are carrying and dumping these basket load after basket load after basket load, eventually resulting in the mounds that we see today. This is a very, very important site because of the immensity of this site. It is so vast, so very complex, and this was built by a pre-agricultural people. These were hunters and gatherers who were living off of the resources of the land, the resources found here in northeast Louisiana.
Welcome to Poverty Point. My name is Stuart Johnson. I'm the Assistant Secretary for Louisiana's Office of State Parks. For the past 42 years, State Parks has had the great honor of managing and operating Poverty Point, and now we're extremely excited entering into this new era of our stewardship. The road to inclusion has been a very long road, spanning almost 8 years, and we've had many wonderful partners in the process, local, state, federal, and international, but there's been no agency that has done more than Louisiana's Office of Cultural Development. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce to you my colleague, the Assistant Secretary for the Office of Cultural Development, Pam Breaux.
It was an honor for the Office of Cultural Development to lead our department's efforts toward World Heritage inscription. Poverty Point is unique and very important, and that's no surprise for this audience. But what's important about today is that now the site can be very well positioned for the international stage. And reaping the rewards inherent in this significant honor will take a lot of hard work, and many here have already done hard work on behalf of Poverty Point and will continue. But reaping those rewards will also take vision and leadership, the kind of leadership that brought us all here today. Lieutenant Governor J. Dardenne was deeply involved in guiding our staff through the work that led to today, this World Heritage designation. That leadership continues to be demonstrated by him as he takes us to the next level so that Poverty Point becomes the world-class cultural tourism destination we know it can be. Please help me welcome to the podium our leader, Lieutenant Governor J. Dardenne.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Welcome to the cradle of Louisiana civilization. This is where it all started 3,400 years ago. About 85 years ago, a national publication said this about Louisiana. One finds a variety of resources, an equableness of climate, a tranquil scenic beauty, and a hospitality that makes the manifold claims of her citizens as to their state's points of excellence seem a mere recital of obvious facts. That was the April 1930 issue of National Geographic magazine that was devoted entirely to talking about our state, and it talked about us in those glowing of terms. And obviously one of the shining stars in Louisiana, not known to the rest of the United States, not known to, frankly, many Louisianians, and not known to the world until this designation, was where we sit right now, where 3,400 years ago, obviously very sophisticated group of Native Americans built these magnificent mounds and these structures that we celebrate today. So it's a great turnout. Well, I appreciate all of you coming out. I know it's hot out there, but we do want to recognize a number of people. They're not going to be a whole lot of speeches, but I do want to make sure we recognize a number of people. So please, please bear with us. There were 53 million cubic feet of soil hauled from somewhere to build these mounds 3,400 years ago. There was no aerial photography at the time, I don't think, but they managed to make one of these mounds in the shape of a bird, which now, generations later, we can determine the bird mound, Mound A, the most magnificent of the mounds. But to just sit and think that where we stand and sit today, those many, many, many centuries ago, on this very spot, Louisiana was born. They didn't call themselves Louisianians at the time, but they were the forebearers of who we are today, and it's great to be able to commemorate them today. So thanks to all of you for joining us for this. I want to introduce a short film from a lady who was the UNESCO Director General. Her name is Irina Bokova. I had a chance to meet her about a year and a half ago on our tourism mission to Europe, and talk to her very generally about what we were doing, because she was not allowed to talk about the nomination itself, and I didn't breach any protocol, but except to tell her how fascinated we are in Louisiana with Poverty Point, how much we appreciate the opportunity to be named a World Heritage Site. And she said at that time, she told us that the application that had been submitted was one of the best they'd ever seen. She was not making a comment one way or the other as to whether we'd be selected, but it had reached her level how professional and well done the application was, and I'll make sure we recognize the folks who were responsible for that in just a moment. But let's hear from the Director General of UNESCO, or the former Director General. I think she's been, there's a new one now, I think, but Irina Bokova.
This is a great day for Louisiana. This is a great day for UNESCO. Allow me to share my very best wishes and heartfelt congratulations as you mark the inscription of the monumental earthworks of Poverty Point on the UNESCO World Heritage List. I know you have all worked hard to make this day a reality. I am grateful for all your efforts. This inscription recognizes the outstanding universal value of Poverty Point. It is also a reminder of our responsibility to safeguard this extraordinary site, to share its lessons and wisdom for the benefit of all. This is the core message of World Heritage. We protect the past to shape the present and illuminate the future. This idea was born in the United States of America, carried forward by the late Russell Train, administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency and founder of the World Wildlife Fund, who played a leading role in drafting the World Heritage Convention. Russell Train called World Heritage a positive vision of human society and our human future. Poverty Point expresses this positive vision and joins 22 other sites from the United States. The Statue of Liberty is inscribed because it is a defining symbol for Americans, and also because of what it says to people across the world about liberty, freedom, and hope. The same goes for Independence Hall, whose significance stretches to parliamentarians, policymakers, civil society activists across the globe. Yosemite, Yellowstone, and the Grand Canyon speak to everyone in all countries about the beauty of nature and the need to preserve it. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the idea driving the World Heritage Convention. We must safeguard our heritage, because it is what brings us together as a single community. It is what binds us within a shared destiny. On this occasion, I wish to thank you all once again for your leadership and for sharing this vision. This is a great day for Louisiana. It is a great day for us as well.
Director Bokova's man on the ground in America, at least for our standpoint, is a gentleman named George Papagiannis, who is working in Washington for UNESCO and dealing with the American contacts. And I want to tell you, he was an invaluable ally for us in securing this selection. We met with him for a number of months over the course of the period. I think he was fretting as much as we were as to whether or not we would be selected. So let me just recognize George, who is in our audience today. George Papagiannis, thank you for joining us. And with George is the Vice President of United States Outreach for the International Council on Monuments and Sites, which has the wonderful acronym ICOMOS. And ICOMOS had to evaluate this site and determine if it passed muster, and they did their job, and we did ours. So I'll please welcome Andrew Potts, who is the Vice President for ICOMOS. We obviously had tremendous cooperation from the United States State Department. The nomination went through the Secretary of the Interior, who selected Poverty Point to be the American nominee, and helping championing our efforts, it was Amanda Hicks, who joined our team in Qatar to help achieve the World Heritage designation. So Amanda and your friend, if you would please stand up and... Let me also recognize, and his name was mentioned, our congressman from the 5th District, who really hit the ground running upon his election. And one of the first challenges he had was, I know, me calling him saying, you've got this Poverty Point issue that's in progress. Please do what you can to help us. He told me just a little while ago it was his first run-in on the floor of the United States Congress when he was trying to make this happen over some objections from others in the Congress. But Vance McAllister, thank you for your effort, and thank you for being with us today. With Congressman McAllister is Congressman Mark Wayne Mullen from the state of Oklahoma. Congressman, welcome. We're glad to have you here. And you have, I know, a Native American constituency as well. And this is obviously a Native American creation that we're very, very grateful for. It's now my pleasure to introduce our senior United States Senator, Mary Landrieu. Mary and I have worked very closely together on this issue and other issues, but on this in particular, Mary really went to bat at a time when we thought it was going to be necessary to secure congressional funding for membership in UNESCO as something we had to have in order to make this happen. Mary relentlessly tried to make that happen. It did not happen, but without the funding, this site was so significant that it was selected even without America having paid its dues to UNESCO, which really speaks to the quality of the site and the quality of the effort that Mary put forth to make this happen. So Senator Landrieu, thank you for your efforts and welcome today.
Well, there's so many people to thank for this happening. This is really probably the most significant event that's happened in this part of the country in a long time, and a real honor for our state and our region. And the local officials that are here, and Francis Thompson in particular, and all of the local legislators that are here, recognized early on the significance of this site with our local university, the university at Monroe. And it became quite a buzz among the locals and the leadership about what we might have found and what this could possibly be. And I think some people early on might have, Jay, even discounted its significance. But as it grew and became more and more known, we realized how significant this was. But I have to say a special shout out to Jay Dardenne, because without the leadership of the state effort really leaning forward and giving the support to the local parishes and to the small communities here that on their own could not possibly have had the resources to orchestrate this. But the state did its job, and Jay Dardenne did his job as Lieutenant Governor. And Pam, thank you for your leadership in just catching on to this and pushing it and recognizing how significant this is for the world, for our country, for Louisiana, and for Northeast Louisiana. It's just really something we won't see again in our lifetime. We just won't. We won't see this in our children's lifetime, our grandchildren's. It's a once in a many generational opportunity. So I'm so proud of Jay Dardenne's leadership for recognizing that and putting it ahead of himself and urging us all to do what we can. And it was quite a drama. I'm not going to take too much time. But part of the issue that Vance and I had to deal with, and the leaders, and Clarence Hawkins, thank you for being here, Clyde Holloway is here, former congressman, is that the United States government had withdrawn its dues to UNESCO over the issue of UNESCO recognizing the Palestinian Authority. Now, you all know how touchy this subject can be between Israel and the Palestinian Authority, and between supporters of Israel and Palestine, and how this conflict is consuming lots of airtime and muscle and power and energy all over the world. And so we in the delegation are very sensitive, Mike, to that. But they kept telling us, without the dues, you can't get the designation. And we kept saying, but that's not fair to hold us hostage, you know, here in Northeast Louisiana because of this battle going on in this great other part of the country. So we had to push, and as an appropriator, I'm so pleased not only to be on the Appropriations Committee, but to chair the Energy Committee that has jurisdiction over the Department of Interior and over the parks. I could put a little extra leverage, if you will. Bobby, you know about that. You know Francis, how he does that to us. You know that little extra leverage that, you know, you push and you're like, we know we haven't paid our dues. We know this is a problem, but we have to find a way anyway. And that's what good leadership does. It finds a way where there is no way. It does difficult things when there is no easy path because we know the benefits. So I just want to thank the Department of Interior. The government gets beat up around here, you know, a lot of times, but I want to thank these government agencies that stepped up, the Parks, Interior, Energy, Jay, your office, and really met the locals more than halfway and said, we have something here that's worth preserving. And I love the word illuminating for our future, because the more we know about the past, it helps us shape our present for our children and illuminates our future here.
Let me just add, to the Statue of Liberty in the Grand Canyon, there is a place called Chaco Heritage Site in New Mexico that is a World Heritage Site. It is about 50 miles from any interstate, and you have to take a dirt road to get there, a bumpy, lumpy dirt road to get there. Their visitation went from 10,000 people a year to 30,000 people a year. People want to see these World Heritage Sites, which is why we've been talking about what we hope will be a groundswell of tourism and economic development coming to Northeast Louisiana. So we're excited about that, and we're looking forward to working with everybody who represents this area to make that happen.
I'm so excited that we'll be able to have people from all over the world, millions of people that will have the opportunity in the future to see this great and noted historical site. So I couldn't be more pleased to know that I played some little part, but I speak for our delegation. Mike Walsworth, Bubba Cheney, and all the others in Northeast Louisiana or North Central, about 16 of us. And we thank you for supporting this beautiful historical area. We thank all those that we didn't get to thank from the federal level, but thank Mary, thank Jay Dardenne for their extra effort to make this a reality. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Thank you, Senator. John Jarvis is the 18th director of the National Park Service. He's been a distinguished career member of the NPS staff beginning in 1976 as a ranger. His office manages the World Heritage Program for the federal government, and we are delighted that he is with us today right here in Poverty Point. Please welcome John Jarvis.
You know, it's just a real honor to be here. Poverty Point, you know, we're going to unveil a plaque here in a few minutes, but this changes things. This changes things, and I want to sort of soak that in with my few minutes up here, that now Poverty Point sits among the very best that the world has recognized as representative of nature and culture. It sits with the Great Barrier Reef of Australia, with Angkor Wat in Cambodia, of the Imperial Palace in China, the Acropolis in Athens, Greece, and here in the United States with the Grand Canyon, Yosemite, Yellowstone, Hawaii volcanoes, and the Statue of Liberty. And so it is so powerful and wonderful to welcome Poverty Point and this part of Louisiana into this family, an exclusive family, not an inclusive family. And let's just say it's not easy to get into that family, this sort of world body. Why am I here? You know, we're not taking over Poverty Point, let me just assure you that. You're doing a great job. The National Park Service, as Director Bokova indicated, was integral in the establishment of the World Heritage Convention. You know, other nations don't have national park systems. A few do, but all they've got is the World Heritage Convention, the World Heritage Sites, to protect their most important places. And so from a tourism standpoint, think about that for a moment, that if you are you live in a country where World Heritage is all you've got in terms of preservation, and you now want to travel to the United States, World Heritage is what you want to see. And so now Poverty Point sits among this group of sites here in the United States, 22 of them. 15 of them are managed by the National Park Service, but Poverty Point, here well protected by the state of Louisiana, now is in that category. And you will be seeing visitors from all over the world coming here to see this place and experience this and learn of its history. And they will stay in your hotels, and they will eat in your restaurants, and they will buy supply. And so it is a huge economic opportunity for this part of the state as well. So get ready. You know, one of these days the bus is going to pull in here and it's going to be full of people from China. And you better be ready to accommodate that, because they are going to come. This has been a long, complicated process, really beginning back in 2006, and I really want to highly compliment the state of Louisiana and all of the partners that have been engaged in developing this nomination. It was a very high quality nomination. We have some of our folks like Susan and others here that helped. That is also one of the roles of the National Park Service, is to assist in the development of the nomination as well. And you did a great job. And then there's the hurdle that you got to get through in front of the World Heritage Committee. And as was indicated by the senator, there's this little challenge of the United States not paying its dues. And so we don't have a vote anymore. So we really have to rely on other countries being willing to vote for the induction of Poverty Point. And let me just specifically call out the senator in her role as chairman of the Energy and Natural Resources Committee, was able to push hard on the State Department and the Department of Interior that we would send a very high-level delegation, a very strong team to Doha to work this, because you know, success was not guaranteed. Let's just say that. In spite of all the fantastic work that was done here, you still got to get it through back there. And it was successful. And again, my compliments to the extraordinary team that went back there and worked this very hard and built a coalition of support among the many countries that are there to recognize this. It is also testimony to the quality of the preservation that you have done here all of the years that you have maintained this site. They came and they visited. They looked at the site, they looked at its integrity, and again, it was an affirmation of the fine work that you have done here, and again, my compliments to you as well. This designation is important for a variety of reasons. It brings, again, the United States on the world stage, that we have protected our integrity and our most important cultural sites. It brings awareness to this part of the nation, to this part of Louisiana, and I do honestly believe you will reap the economic benefits of that well into perpetuity as well. And it adds one more site to this incredible list of World Heritage that, as Director Bokova said, this is a testimony to our world heritage and world culture. I have every confidence in all of you that you will continue to care for this place and bring it to the world. Thank you very much.
The opportunities are limitless today for Poverty Point. This is really a new beginning for this site with this designation, and I hope that all of you in the audience will leave here as champions of this site. We have some ideas on things we need to do to create some synergy and have an opportunity to raise some money to adequately market this place, because if we don't tell people where it is and what it is, they won't come. It's not going to be automatic. We are going to have to do some hard work to tell people they need to be here. And our legislative delegation is going to be working on some potential legislation to try and create a district to support this effort, and I hope we can do that because I think it'll be critical. It's been successful in many, many other parts of the state with tourism groups, tourism organizations, and now Northeast Louisiana needs a tourism effort to really put the message out so people will know where we are and what we're doing. There's 1,001 Mounds candy bars in here. We called them the Hershey Company and said, look, we've got the tallest mounds in North America when they were built 3,400 years ago, and we're going to celebrate those mounds. Are now a World Heritage Site. Why don't you send us 1,001 Mounds candy bars that we can distribute? And they said, absolutely. So we've got 1,001 Mounds candy bars for everyone to enjoy today. And we thank the Hershey Company for that generous contribution. Now, we want to thank our sponsors today. They're represented. And let me also, before we unveil the plaque, let me ask the entire staff from the Department of Culture, Recreation, and Tourism to stand up or wave your hands. Folks, this is an effort by our entire department. We don't operate in silos. We have everybody working together, whether it's tourism, library, museums, the arts. We all work together to make this happen. So everybody who's on our staff, please stand up. Let me thank you publicly, and let everyone else thank you. Now, Mary, if you will join me, we will unveil this plaque, which will be erected not too far from here for everyone to see when they enter this site, the World Heritage Site.
And the plaque reads, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organizations World Heritage Committee has designated the monumental earthworks of Poverty Point as a World Heritage Site, thereby placing it on a select list of protected areas around the world whose exceptional resources form a common inheritance for all humanity. As a pre-agricultural mound complex dating from 1700 BC to 1100 BC, this site ranks among the world's premier archaeological properties due to its profound, universal significance. It is the 22nd site in the U.S. to be inscribed on the World Heritage List, June 22nd, 2014. That's our new historic marker.
It's great to finally see that plaque and to get that designation and recognize that this place is going to be very special. It's going to have a huge impact, particularly on Northeast Louisiana. There are people all over the world whose bucket list includes going to World Heritage Sites, and people who travel internationally are going to find their way to Epes, Louisiana to visit this monumental earthworks of Poverty Point.
If people have questions like more information, what should they do?
Well, they can go to LouisianaTravel.com, our website. They can contact our office, or they can come to Poverty Point and go through the Welcome Center, which we're going to improve, and it's going to be a great experience.